Hello and welcome back. I've made a multiplayer game. I've just picked a load of random civs to go in there. I can't help calling them civs, but they're factions, and
it's fine.
We're gonna make some of these. We're never gonna see a big tree, are we? We're never gonna make one of them. We're not gonna go that far into the game.
Probably. We will. No. Those actually they're not that far.
Even on normal speed.
Even on normal speed, you maybe are overestimating the slowness of normal.
Okay. All right, I'm excited. So of course, it's easier when you don't have people like Shin not clicking the end turn button. I'm sure this will go a lot faster than our normal games. Okay, here we are.
There we are with that amazing. The strongest part of the Draken is that they get to see you right at the start. That's so good in a multiplayer game.
Yeah, it means they know exactly where you are. So here we are in our world. Samuntia is our starting region.
Samuntia. Oh, okay. This already is looking good to me. First let's hit F, and then let's take a look at what's going on here.
F.
Yeah, there you go. Check it out. Hotkeys.
Wow, it's hotkeys. Okay, This is a whole new world already, Dave. Holy crap.
All right.
I'm learning. And so what I've done here is I've separated out my army to scout. Is this something that you should do or not?
Always, 100%, zero question, always separate them out.
But I mean, there's nothing, I'm not seeing, well, maybe I am seeing something.
Yeah, look, there's a anomaly over there. So, city placement. First thing to remember, for people who are used to Civ, it's a little bit disorienting because the modifiers you see on screen are static. And you don't have to devote population to them. It's everything adjacent to your city tiles and boroughs you get.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't think of it like, I could work this tile, right? You get it. That's it. It's free. And
when you mouse over it, also says how much that city is going to be generating straight away.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
It'll do the math for you if you're not good at that.
I don't see many great sites. There is, that spot over by the Titanium.
My thing is, look, there's an anomaly here, and so that means you should settle on it, right? Oh no, it's not an anomaly. It's actually wine. It's a luxury resource.
So
and this
just
is
to put it out there,
resource, right?
That's fantastic. So I don't see many great anomalies in this region to start, although there could be some more off to the north. But the fact that this region has wine is overpoweringly good. Wine raises your approval. This city has kind of an interesting approval metric. As you expand, you lose approval.
Okay.
But as you grow, you can improve it. As your approval reaches, I think it starts at 90%, you get like 33% bonuses to production and food. And then at 100% happiness, everything gets super, super amped. Wine is one of the best boosters for that. So very, very good start.
Whoops. Well, I mean, I already missed out on turn one because we were talking. See, when you play Civ, your first turn is as long as you want. And that means that you can just talk, plan, get the game loaded.
We shouldn't have turned on the timer, should we have?
We shouldn't. That's a novice mistake. But I think because I can't see any anomalies, I guess we are just going to have to settle here in the middle of a forest. Now,
I would settle near that. Given what I see over there, I would settle between the wine and the other thing, maybe, or off to the side. Either way is good. I mean, there's a lot of good. It's all okay because you'll notice that there's a ton of there's a ton of forest here, and that's really what we care about.
So, yeah. So you think we should settle here, basically?
It's not bad.
And the reason is because boroughs connect up resources, so we don't have to build extractors on them. If we just build a borough there, it will connect it up, right?
No, but it's sort of all fine. Like maybe. Yeah, unfortunately, this is a rough start.
Well, I mean, we've obviously wasted a turn here. Like, how do you feel about how do you feel about moving and not settling in the same turn? You know, because
you should always skip your first turn settle if there's a great anomaly nearby. Right.
Okay. Because it will catch you up in terms of
All
right, let's restart this because we can.
Yeah, let's turn off the timer.
We'll turn off the timer just to give us more breathing room as well, because we haven't got an anomaly, but.
Yeah. Well, now,
that's going to happen, right? You know, you're not always going to get an anomaly.
I would take that start because it had wine and you're guaranteed wine. Wine and dyes are, to me, two of the resources I love to get the most. I love wine and dyes because dyes increase your influence output so that you don't have to put population on that. And then wine gives you happiness for free and is pretty easy to make infinite and trades really super well because everybody wants it. So,
yeah. So is that because people buy it up on the market, or should be buying it up if it's cheap on the market? Because it's...
As long as it's cheap on the market, it's a good deal. If at any point in time one of your cities approaches 90% approval, you get 33% to production and food, as I recall. So really, really good outcome.
I think we didn't realize that having very positive happiness was a very positive thing. I think previously we thought that, just being not unhappy, as in Civ, as long as you're not unhappy, there's no real advantage to happiness or to approval. But if there's I didn't realize there was a big positive, 33%, that is huge. Okay,
yeah, it's massive. And you can, with the right anomalies, you can reach it before turn 20. So, it's huge if you can hit it before turn 20. It will rocket you forward. So why don't you hit F and let's see if we have anything amazing. I see one thing. Yeah. So we have an anomaly right there. What's that? Mutant Marsh. That's a fantastic anomaly. It doesn't give any approval, but it is better. We also have another one down to the south there.
Rumbling Stones.
Which is another really good one. But it's so close to the borders that there's only really one good spot to settle next to ruins, and you can't build burrow streets over ruins. So I wouldn't settle there.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is to do with how, where you want your city to grow and the shape you want it to grow into. Now, if you build too close to the edge of these areas, I guess like if an anomaly was here, it would be very tricky for us to build a city, start the city here, and expand it, because it gives us less options, I guess. You can't build burrows on top of these ruins, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And we obviously want to build our city to a certain size and shape. So if we founded our city here, that would be tricky. We'd have to sort of grow like a pyramid here, I guess, wouldn't we?
Yeah, you can also, there's also this thing called the Frozen Snake. It is a horizontal, a line city, too high and then just across. That's actually even more efficient, especially late game. But in this region, I would do pyramidal cities. So the reason that we do that is as we build, as burrows and the city expansions connect to each other, they level up if they're near other similarly leveled burrows. And so
so you have to have, so if this was our city here, we'd have to have 4 burrows around it in order for it to level up. And the optimum shape to do that is a flat-topped pyramid, I guess, if there's 5. But then it's to decide where to go from there. So you say the Frozen Snake is to just keep going like that and that and that and that and that, like
precisely.
So it's only ever too high. But obviously that would be if you imagine that shape, that is another flat-topped pyramid. And if you imagine that shape, that's another flat-topped pyramid. But I guess you continue going like a snake along. So your city is only ever too wide, and that's the optimum way to make...
I'll link that on the Reddit comments when time comes, so that everybody can see what we're talking about. It's a little hard to visualize, especially if you haven't played before. But
it means that every time you put a burrow down, you're leveling up that burrow to the next level.
Yeah, by your 3rd burrow, you start to get returns, which is great.
Yeah, because the high level burrows are I think they give you a lot of approval.
Yeah.
Whereas a burrow on its own, a new one doesn't give you approval.
Yeah, and it's negative. So yeah, expanding your cities either way gives you negative approval, but there is a turnaround point with different build types where they start to be break even and even positive in one case.
There is something to be said as well for if you have a lot of approval coming in from a source. So if we started with wine and we knew our city would be fine with approval, we could even expand the city in such a way to maximize the new tiles rather than the approval. So we could
precisely.
You can have your city going deliberately not leveling it up just to reach as far as you can, and then as soon as your approval starts to dip for whatever reason, you start filling in the gaps. And then that will give you big approval boosts. But you want to reach more tiles quickly. So that's an option if you have a lot of approval, I guess. And that's something that you get from, I guess, having wine or choosing the approval buildings. Or I don't know if it's a racial thing. I don't know.
It depends. There's a couple different things that affect it. For this region's pretty small, and we're fortunate. There's Delvers are here. Not a bad faction for us, but not the best.
Okay.
We're really lucky there's a mutant marsh here because it's going to be tough. Like, Wildwalkers struggle with science, in my opinion.
Right.
It looks to me like the best place for us to build a city is exactly one northwest of where you are. That looks like it's a straightforward spot to build. There's no real limiters on the kind of growth we want to do. And we'll rapidly be able to grab tiles we want. In either direction, we can go west for dust or east for huge amounts of production.
I see. So we can build so we can grab another couple of forests here. Yeah, if we wanted to.
Yeah. And yeah, that's unfortunate. It'd be nice if we had one more forest tile in this, but I mean, I think this is probably the best place. You can like mouse around and see other places and show people what that looks like, but oh no, it looks like you clicked.
Sorry, I built so like I always thought that when you should build a city, you should focus and make sure you have enough production. And the reason is that if you have a lot of production in your first city, you can build the buildings quickly, which means that you don't need the other stuff. If you've got a shitload of production and you can quickly build a seed storage, suddenly this is 10 food a turn, which is, it kind of negates the fact that if I'd built here, for example, and I was getting 10 food, but only a couple of production, it might have taken me a lot longer to build these buildings. Now, is that a wrong thing to choose, or is that the right way to go about it?
For this faction, definitely not. For the necrophages or someone else who struggles with food early game, I would maybe change it. For this faction, I would say that you wouldn't even want to build a seed storage first. You're doing so well. Look at how much food you have. You have so much food already. And if you go ahead and click on the city, it'll show you that you only are going to need 3 turns to build up. And you've already got 15 production because of your focus and your anomalies. Yep. So much production compared to some races. So what I would do is I would start researching the mill foundry and actually build a founder's monument before the seed storage. Although, I mean, again... that's a matter of opinion.
Well, the Founders Monument is obviously very, very good. It gives you 2 of each resource, and it's a pretty much. I think it's the first building that most races will want to build anyway.
Yeah.
Apart from if you are a race that starts with the Mill Foundry, or you're the Dust Lords, and even then, I think probably a Mill Foundry is good. But overwhelmingly, this is the first tech you research, isn't it? And afterwards, I don't know. But I think for every race,
it's different.
Founders Monument and Mill Foundry are pretty solid ways to start the game.
I would say that there's, with the exception of necrophages, there is zero reason not to research that Mill Foundry first, unless you have it, right? In which case you should already be building it. Yeah. For us, though, we want to look at so now we want to think about what we need to build, because basically we want to enter Era 2 super strong, and we want to be ready to expand. We want to have our settler out and running by around turn 20. So we want to be identifying where we want to put down our next city. This is an expansionist city. And we are very, very hungry for more forest because we get so much from it. We also are really hungry for a great science anomaly. So, again, so much from it.
So if you were playing Dust Lords, you'd obviously be hungry for certain spots as well, which are spots on rivers. And other races favour certain city spots as well. But I think forests are generally good for every race, right? Because they all have a couple of production on a forest.
It's not bad, yeah. That's actually one of the bigger inhibitors of the Wild Walkers, is that they're sort of smack dab. They get more from everybody, more than anybody for this, but they're right in the middle of it. Right. So let's take a look at the one trick about if you know your faction quests, then you can kind of optimize things. Don't for Wild Walkers, don't scout ruins on turn 1, even though we see 2 in plain sight. Don't do it.
Right. And so why is that?
Because your first quest is to scout 4 ruins.
Right.
So you'll only get that on the turn after you found a city. So you can greatly enhance that and kick off your plotline.
Is there any reason not to scout ruins generally, though, on turn 1 for other races?
I'd have to go and look at the chart. I don't remember offhand every single one. Most races do have a ruin scouting early on, or a interaction with. You generally want to wait till turn 2 for a lot of the races, but Wild Walkers in particular is the only ones I remember offhand which ones have that, but only a few of them. Yeah.
So there's a hot tip for Wild Walkers: don't scout ruins on turn 1.
Yeah.
Regarding my governor, should I just throw him straight into the city, or should you have him scout? The reason is that these guys will get XP from scouting.
Yeah.
And obviously combat as well, but they will also get XP for every building the city builds. Now, you can only move them every so often. You can only move them every 5 turns, I think, in normal. Is that right? Or...
Yeah, well, he can go faster. Why don't you go ahead and click the little metal thing for him, and we'll take a look. Because this guy is an interesting case. The Wild Walkers, and if you go to his skill tree, because all this is, whatever. His skill tree, his faction skills are kind of meh for this, he basically gets a cool reduction to cooldown and reassignment, which is not bad.
Right.
But it's
so
not
that is the first skill. So he'll be able to move every 3 turns rather than 5, I guess.
Yeah. But check out his class skill, which is the first one on the far left.
Right.
That is
Agile
incredibly good.
So he gets to move everyone in the army in combat gets to move more, right? Or is that movement on the map screen?
That's map screen.
So it's movement on the map screen. Okay.
Yeah, it's super good.
Right.
That's incredibly good. So honestly, even if it were combat, it'd be the same thing. It's incredibly good. He's not a very good governor for a city. He's a very good army leader, and we want to leverage that.
So every hero will have something if they're the governor of a city. In this case, it's not very good. +1 industry per. I guess does that mean person per population? Is that population devoted to industry, or is that population in general?
Population in general.
Right. So it doesn't have to be devoted to industry.
But I mean, look at those numbers. Even if you look at like late game, percentile is more important than static modifier. Early game, the static modifier is what's most important. But
right.
you know, you're going to be like level 6, level 10. It's just not that good compared to the buildings, right? It's not something you should shoot for. What we want to do is get a mercenary market soon, and then look at buying a hero that is really great as a governor for our capital, as opposed to making this guy the stopgap.
So this guy's going to be our military hero.
Yeah, we want to assign him to one of our armies.
Right, and we should we search both of the ruins with him, or should we just? Is it not that important?
Unless we want to devote points to his search party ability, which is a common one that all heroes get, it's not important.
Okay. Is there any reason to ever research search party here?
If you have a great science start, sure.
Right.
It definitely works. And also there's a hero ability as you level up. You can be more efficient at ruin scouring.
I always felt like in our multiplayer games there wasn't really enough ruins to make it worthwhile. I guess I guess it depends on the game as well. If you're playing on a larger map, maybe it becomes worthwhile. I just.
Well, as we scout, I think you'll see it. Why don't we assign the hero to one of these 2 armies? You can either move the army onto him, or you can use the assignment screen on.
Yeah. Oh, he's actually all right. So I can assign him here.
Yeah.
Right.
Just pick an army and put him in there, because that's going to be who we're going to be parlaying with and stuff, and subjugating.
Okay. Right. Well, I think we're probably done for everything this turn. I mean, is it worth, like, is there any other science things that we should?
We have no resource. I'm sorry. We have no. Oh no! Look, I thought maybe we would have a problem, but our dust income is evened out. Great. No, we're good.
Oh, for God's sake! I can't take this, Lewis.
What?
Why? Why are you doing this?
I pressed auto.
This
Why
isn't
are you
your
pressing
plan, because I
manual?
want to win. And now I'm getting up with Ben. You guys really fucking suck, honestly.